Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Now, before we start the video, I just want to have a quick look at a few really cool things I found. I gotta say, I do love the Rolex website. It is very, very informative. Nice layout and everything. Anyway, it says here, the first self-winding wrist chronometer to indicate the date in a window on the dial. But the coolest thing I wanted to show you was actually this I found while, hold on, why is it not scrolling? Apparently, well, we all know Winston Churchill had many fine timepieces, but he did have a Rolex DateJust as well. July 11th, 1947.
Dear sir, I have received your kind letter on June 18th, in which you ask if I would accept your Jubilee DateJust model Rolex wristwatch chronometer. I should be most happy to do so, and I thank you warmly for this agreeable suggestion. I attach a note giving the information for which you have asked in your letter. I look forward very much to receiving this wristwatch. I trust you will realize how much I appreciate this very kind gesture of goodwill. Yours faithfully, Winston Churchill.
And he's specifying to Mr. Wilsdorf, Monsieur H. Wilsdorf, that he'd like a gold case, and his wrist size is 7.5 inches, so quite a, well, we all know he's quite portly, but he'd like to have his coat of arms engraved on the back, and there's his coat of arms, and there we have the engraving. Just astounding. Oh, sorry, I'm in my cursor. Beautiful. I mean, doesn't that just make you want to get a DateJust? Very, very cool. Anyway, guys, I thought I'd start with that. Let's roll the intro and get into today's video. Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Now today I'm going to be answering a question I get asked almost every single day, especially in emails from you guys. So I thought, you know what, I'll just address it in a video. And that is, of course, if you could only buy one luxury watch, or actually most often than not, I'm usually asked, somebody just wants one luxury watch, what do I recommend? It has to be the Rolex DateJust. I've got to say, I don't currently own one, although I have owned 3 myself. And I think I sold the last DateJust just in the early days of this channel. And I did actually review it, so have a look back, although, you know, very rudimentary, nothing like the reviews I do today. Actually, I will be doing a DateJust review later on, and I'll get into that. Totally forgot wristwatch check. My God. I'm wearing the subby. The subby is on. It's related to today's video. The same movement that can be found in contemporary Rolex DateJusts, and also because I haven't really worn it that much. The Explorer, the little the Fleming, I'm referring it to as the Fleming now, has taken up a lot of wrist time. So yeah, it's nice to get dear old subby back in rotation. So that was my wristwatch check. So let's crack on. Not everybody wants to have a huge collection, and they just want to have one luxury watch. And I was like that for many years. And that is why I've owned the DateJust so many times. Now, I've narrowed it down to 5 reasons, and we'll start with the first, and that is the history of the Rolex DateJust. First released in 1945, and it actually coincided with the 40th anniversary of Rolex. So quite a momentous release, and it was famous, or its most crowning achievement, and hence its name, DateJust, was in honor of its biggest innovation, which was the automatically changing date. So very important, not only in the range of watches from Rolex, but also horologically important, as it was a first. And anytime a watch has a first, it's just, you know, forever immortalized in horological history. Not only is it a classic and an archetype of wristwatches, it also is a movie star. It's a cultural icon. We've seen it. Actually, I reviewed the American Psycho DateJust, which was the 16013, I believe. And that has that beautiful tapestry dial. And in some respect, it kind of summed up that whole era, the loads of money generations, if my British fans will know what that's in reference to. Another one is, if you watch my, I think it was part 1 of the series I did about watches and movies, I talked about Roman Polanski's Frantic. It was worn by Harrison Ford. It's been in countless movies. I mean, we could be here all day. But not only in cinema, also cultural icons like Martin Luther King. He famously wore a DateJust. Many important people throughout the years. So it's just become, you know, a timeless, and forgive the pun, it's not intended, but a timeless classic. So history, number 5, that is definitely my number 5. Okay, so moving on to number 4, it's versatility. Not only is it stylistically versatile, I mean, it really, you know, depends on which model you get. Works with a suit, but it also has a lot of that sports watch DNA thanks to the Oyster case. It being 100-meter water resistant with the screw down crown. It is a tough cookie, and not to mention the 904L stainless steel, which is a low carbon alloy, which is far more scratch resistant and resistant against corrosion. It's a steel used by Rolex, of course. It's a little bit harder than your typical steel. And we've got to mention that the date complication is a great everyday complication. So it's very versatile, not only in its looks and how you can match it sartorially. You know, you can wear it for, it's a dressy piece, but you can also wear it to the beach, jump in a pool. It's versatile when it comes to matching attire, and in its practicality, it's good for any occasion or situation. And I've said it for years and years. I've said it's the most versatile luxury watch. It's also not that thick, so it slides under the cuff perfectly for formal attire, for being suited and booted. Very few watches can beat its versatility, so definitely number 4. Okay, number 3, the range available. I mean, the sheer variety of DateJusts. You know, you can choose from an infinite amount of dials, dial colors. You got linen dials, tapestry dials, champagne, sunburst blues and pinks, salmon pinks, and you can have diamonds on them. You can have Roman numerals or stick, you name it, or Arabic numerals for that matter. You name it, there's a dial out there. But the variety doesn't stop there. You've got a choice of the smooth bezel or the fluted, and the engine turn bezel as well, which actually I owned an engine turn one. That was one of my 3. You can have it on a Jubilee bracelet or an Oyster bracelet, two-tone. Oh, and not to mention the materials. You got rose gold, yellow gold, stainless steel, of course, and two-tone, which I think is probably the most, certainly the least collectible, but definitely, and actually people say, oh, everyone, the sub is the most, you know, popular or go-to or seen Rolex. Actually, I think the DateJust, it certainly was historically the most, their highest selling. There's just such a wide amount of variety, and I love that because you can match it to your personality. It gives it a little bit more of an individual choice. The first DateJust I had was the Oyster Quartz, which was, as the name suggests, quartz. That was the reference 17013. If I might be wrong, guys, do correct me if I'm wrong. Very 70s-esque. In a way, it was a bit Gerald Genta-ish with the shape of the case. These beautiful beveled edges, lovely. Slightly brutalist in its aesthetic. I adored it. When I bought mine, they were so underpriced, but nowadays they've become very collectible. So you can choose between automatic or quartz. Unfortunately, they don't make the quartz anymore, which has pushed up the desirability, collectability, and price of the Oyster Quartz, ironically. Then I moved on to the 16220 with engine turned bezel, beautiful sunburst blue. I've always had blue dials. Oh, by the way, the Oyster Quartz I had was two-tone as well. The center links were gold, but very different to the Jubilee bracelet. And then the last one I had, which I did review, was the 11620, and that was bought from new. And that had all the modern upgrades with the most contemporary movement, which we'll get onto in just a moment. That was smooth bezel as well, and I think the smooth bezel certainly makes it more contemporary. There is an argument that the fluted bezel and the two-tone, is a little bit, for a while I think it was considered an old man's watch, but two-tone apparently is coming back and they're in vogue again. And not to mention the sizes. We've got classic 36mm, which I've always had, and the modern the DateJust II 41mm. Also, let's not forget the ladies DateJust. So we got 34mm. I think there's a 31, and I believe the smallest is 28mm. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but huge. I mean, huge amount of choice. So that is my third reason. Okay, number 2, it is a safe investment. Now, you guys know I buy for enjoyment. I don't buy for investment, but we should really mention it. It is, you get the security of it being a Rolex, and provided, of course, it is entirely original, it's not a Franken watch, and let's just presume, for the sake of argument, it is a kosher, genuine DateJust. In all the DateJusts I've ever had, I've never lost. Well, the only one I did lose a little bit of money on was the last one, which because I bought it from new and I didn't have it that long. Look, I didn't lose that much. We're talking a few hundred at most. Really depends on the model, but you're not going to lose out that much. And also, we've got to say that it's quite a. I'm not going to say it's an affordable way to go, because I think any luxury watch, and most people watching this will think, what's TGB saying? Affordable? It's not affordable. It's very expensive. It's a lot of money. Even for me, it's a lot of money. But if you save, you can get a used one, like a 60s or a 70s DateJust for about 2 to 4 grand. It's not an astronomical amount. It's attainable. And if you're buying just one luxury watch, I think it's a great watch. Very few watches have as much as all of this that we're going through today, have as much to offer. It's not only a safe investment financially, it's a proven timeless classic. If I inherited, for example, DateJust from my dad, it would look just as good now. I mean, they haven't really changed that much. Yes, okay, they've become more refined and updated through the years, but essentially, it's pretty much, you can see the very first 1945 DateJust, and you can see its DNA and its influence in the present DateJust. What I'm trying to say is, it's a timeless classic. Fashions may come and go, trends for different watch sizes will come and go, but it's always going to be desirable. Okay, my number one reason is it's a very dependable watch. You're getting that robustness. You're getting everything that Rolex is known for. Especially with the newer one, with the 3135, you've got the parachromed hairspring, you've got the anti-magnetic properties of that movement. Also, not only dependable in its quality, but it's chronometer certified in its performance. And not to mention, if you go with the DateJust with gold, if you remember that video I did years ago talking about, I think it was like 10, 12 things people should know about Rolex. They actually have their own gold foundry. You're getting that quality, that attention to detail. And if you do go for one with the diamond markers or bezel, Rolex have their own gemologists specifically there to choose the best, the absolute best of the best. It's this attention to detail that just makes Rolex so renowned. Okay, with some of the vintage options, you're not going to get the updated Oyster lock clasp with the Easy Link extension system. And, yeah, of course, the Jubilee bracelets are a little bit, jingle jangly, shall we say. I actually find that endearing. It kind of, I don't know, it takes me back like a Madeleine moment to the 80s. Maybe that's because I was born in the 80s. I don't know. I just have an affinity to the Jubilee bracelet. But regardless, you're getting the quality, true luxury feeling, and not to mention obviously with the new ones you have sapphire glass, the water resistance, the twin lock screw down crown. Again, very robust, usable, versatile piece. It's very difficult to beat. That dependability, it's something I did enjoy about my DateJust, and it kind of almost, and I guess it explains why I was a 3-watch guy for a long time. And if you have to have one, luxury watch in a collection, the DateJust, is a perfect candidate. Anyway, guys, I'd really like to hear your input on this. Do nominate watches that you feel can compete with the DateJust as, if you had to just have one luxury watch. So I'm going to leave it there. Please don't forget to add your thoughts, queries, comments, opinions, all the rest of it down below. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.